Good evening. After a two-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Bolter. That's 48 hours that law enforcement involved in a complex and dangerous man.
Tim Walz. I don't know who thought he was a good idea. He was like a second iteration of Tim Kaine, but even worse. He turned out to be a
Good evening. After 2 sleepless nights and a nationwide manhunt, law enforcement finally apprehended Vance Bolter. 48 hours chasing a complex and dangerous man. This wasn't routine policing. This was chaos, pressure, and high stakes. And that chaos? It perfectly sets the tone for everything else that follows.
These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us.
He was trafficking in lies and conspiracies. He said that he never supported a national abortion ban. We have in writing a screenshot from his website wherein he supported a national abortion ban. So he was just lying with.
Let's be honest. Who thought Tim Walz was a good idea? He's like the sequel nobody asked for. Think Tim Kaine, but somehow worse. A candidate so safe he puts people to sleep, yet so messy he keeps waking them up with contradictions.
Who could possibly think it would be a good idea to lie about being in Tiananmen Square when you were in Nebraska? I mean, come on, it's just so beyond the pale. And now he's thinking about running for president. Didn't he get the memo that the American people do not want a second coming of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? And Kamala is in California considering a run for governor. We do not want any more DEI woke, any of that. We just don't. We're done with the woke and trans insanity.
Tim Walz thought he was playing chess. Careful moves, calm tone, safe strategy. Then Lindi Lee walked in, flipped the board, grabbed the queen, and started her own game. This stopped being politics. This turned into a roast.
What were they telling your mom, and how soon was it after the election? Like
a week or two. When it wasn't at that point, I was just asking questions. Like it wasn't even. I was like, what happened to the $2.5 billion we raised? Why did we spend it on Beyonce? Why did we spend 2.5? Why did we spend millions of dollars on Oprah? Like legitimate questions that needed to be answered. But the amount of hate I got for that was just overwhelming. And the final straw, the moment that I knew that I needed to leave was actually around.
He said he never supported a national abortion ban. Sounds clean, right? Except we have screenshots from his own website saying the opposite. That's not nuance. That's not evolution. That's just lying and getting caught.
And then the biggest tell of the evening was when he told the moderators, well, I thought the rules stipulated, or something to the effect of the rules were saying that you weren't going to fact check. And you talked about own goals. That was an own goal. That said everything.
But
so
Lindi,
he was counting on the fact that no one was going to push back.
Are you frustrated then that Walz didn't make the argument that you're making to me right now?
I think he did a really good job tonight. And we had a live focus.
Walz sells himself as political comfort food. Midwestern nice. Come, safe. But look closer and it's leftovers left too long in the fridge. Soft, questionable, and getting worse by the minute.
Highest rating of the night when he pointed out that Trump completely failed on the border. He didn't deliver on the border wall that he promised. He blew up the border deal that we had border as a campaign issue. So he scored really highly also when he mentioned Matthew 25 and how his faith guides and inspires his empathy for people, a quality that Trump and Vance so abundantly lack.
Who lies about being in Tiananmen Square when they were actually in Nebraska? I mean, seriously, that's not a memory slip. That's fiction. And now this guy wants to run for president.
It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make.
The biggest tell? When he complained the moderators weren't supposed to fact check. That one sentence said everything. He expected no pushback. That wasn't confidence. That was entitlement.
Feedback. I want to take you back to the very first answer that he gave. Let's just remind ourselves, he sort of stumbled through. Right now the crisis in the Middle East is, front and centre of the global news agenda. And we would expect maybe that someone who was running to be the vice president would have more confidence. Let's remind ourselves of what happened.
October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
Shut it down. Open it up. Lock it again. Then act surprised when everyone's confused. Walz calls that pragmatism. Most people call it flipping a coin and calling it leadership.
What do you think happened when he gave that answer, Lindi?
Well, as I mentioned before, J.D. Vance went to Yale Law School. He is seasoned, and I said this in the previous interview. This is what he does. He's slick and he's sharp, but Walz is a fundamentally good guy. And our focus group of battleground voters, mind you, understand that. They perceive that this is a down-to-earth guy, salt-to-the-earth guy who wants the best for the American people versus Vance, who is backed by Peter Thiel and was a venture capitalist and is working for his billionaire.
He brands himself as grassroots. But you'd need a telescope to find those roots buried under DC cocktail parties. He's not anti-establishment. He's part of the furniture.
I mean, I'm not on anyone's payroll. I'm not beholden to anyone. That's why I'm here telling the truth. I'm not here to gaslight anybody. This is just the truth.
What is the truth?
The truth is this is just an epic disaster. This is a $1 billion disaster. Actually, it was $1.018 billion, I think, right? There were $20 million or $18 million in debt.
Right.
They keep saying voters see him as a good guy, down to earth, salt of the soil. But when your image needs constant defending, that's not authenticity. That's maintenance.
So that I have friends that I have to be accountable to and to explain what happened because I told them it was a margin of error race. I was promised, Jen O'Malley Dillon promised all of us that Harris would win. She even put videos out saying that Harris would win. I believed her. My donors believed her. And so they wrote massive checks. I feel like a lot of us were misled. And even on the night of election night, I looked somebody in the eye and I said, are we going to do this? Are we going to pull it off? She told me yes. And I asked somebody else, how are you feeling? He's like, we're going to win Iowa. And I was like,
this wasn't a small mistake. This was a billion-dollar disaster. Donors were promised a win. They were misled. And now everyone's asking the same question. Where did the money go?
What's your take?
My take is the most neglected part of home ownership is the gutters. It's personal for me.
This is Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz making an appearance on the popular TikTok show Subway Takes.
Had problems with gutters before. You get your basement wet, you get ice dams, cause a lot of problems.
How often do you like looking at gutters?
I look quite often, surprisingly, because I kind of judge it. I try not to be judgmental on people, but when I see a well-tended gutter, it says a lot about.
This isn't a scandal. It's exposure. Lindi Lee didn't destroy Walz with rumors. She exposed the costume. And once voters see the zipper on the mascot suit, they can't unsee it.